Okay. So how many students are present in the last class?
Maybe 14.
14. Okay. Aziz, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Fine, sir. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Aziz, can you tell me what is the reason the day 25 has become a little bit less active after midterm exam?
Sorry again.
I said that after midterm, the attendance of the day 25 has decreased. Why?
Sir, I don't know, sir. I have to ask them. I have to discuss with them.
Yes, because you see that before the midterm, the attendance was 23, 24, something like that. But now we get 15, 14, 16, 17. So please tell them to join the class.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes for. So I think that we can start, my student.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nazifa কি attendance কম কেন? কাহিনী কি?
স্যার আগের ক্লাসে তো 16-17 জন ছিল।
16-17 জন 12-13 জন কাছাকাছি, কিন্তু এমনি তো আগে তো তোমাদের 24 জন 30 জন ক্লাস করতে সবসময়। হঠাৎ করে কমে যাওয়ার কারণ কি? মিডের পরে
আমার মনে হয় যে হচ্ছে অনলাইন মানে রেকর্ডেড ক্লাসগুলো তো থাকেই, তাই মনে হয় এরা পার্টিসিপেট করতে চায় না।
আচ্ছা। এই বাঙালি স্টুডেন্টদের জন্য কি, বাঙালিরা তো থাকেই, ওমর মহিমারা তো থাকেই। আর সজল কি আছে? আচ্ছা,
সজলের বাসায় ইন্টারনেট প্রবলেম একটু খুব বেশি, মানে হচ্ছে ওর এরিয়ায় ওয়াইফাই নিয়ে যাচ্ছে না। আর হচ্ছে
আমি আছি স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, না আজকে আছো। আর ওর নাম কি, লিটন, শাওন, ওদের একটু কম দেখি। আর মনিমা ওমরকে তো রেগুলারই দেখি আমি, তুমিও রেগুলার থাকো। সজীবও আসে মাঝে মাঝে, কিন্তু সোমালিয়ান স্টুডেন্ট গুলা একটু ইরেগুলার হয়ে গেছে। Okay, we have already been late because of the last class. Please try to remind the teacher, because you have back-to-back class. Because if you late that class, you will be late in my class, and I have one more class. So it's a back-to-back class. So try to remind the teachers that we have another class after that. So the class will, he will end at 10:40, or then we'll take 5 minutes break, or probably I will give 5 minutes break. Then we'll start 11:50. But try to remind, because we have back-to-back class. So I've been waiting, because after that, from 1 p.m. I have another one more class with another batch. So if they will also wait. So there's a disorder come. Okay, no problem. We can adjust that. If I am not wrong, in the last class, my students, we are studying the tariff system. Okay, we're studying the tariff system, and the main important thing, we discussed the different types of tariff. And among those tariffs, one of the important part is the two-part tariff system. The two-part tariff system, one is for maximum demand, and another one is the consumption. Okay, the maximum demand is basically for the kilowatt, how much kilowatt power we demand, and according to that we need to pay for that per certain percentage. And also for suppose that our consumption, suppose we spend 100 kilowatt hour, so on that note we need to also pay for that. And always remember that the maximum demand charge is basically for the fixed, is charged for the fixed cost, the amount of they invest for the fixed cost, suppose the establishment, the fuel cost, something like that. So and the running charge, the fuel, the maintenance, the transmission, distribution. So these are the running costs, used for daily basis. These are basically, charged for the kilowatt hour, or the the amount per unit cost. So there are basically in the two-part system. One is for maximum demand, another one is for the consumption. Okay. So today we will see some of the mathematics on tariff system. Uh, it starts with one. The first one, very easy one. They say that the consumer has a maximum demand of 200 kilowatts at a 40% load factor. If the tariff is 100 rupees or 100 taka, whatever, kilowatts of maximum demand plus 10 paisa, that means cent, you can consider cent, 10 cent per kilowatt hour. Find the overall cost per kilowatt hour. Okay, overall cost, find, you need to find out the overall cost. Okay, so definitely, the load factor is given here. Interestingly, there are, no number of hours is given here. So for that, suppose we consider for 1 year, the one entire year, we need to, suppose we need to find the one entire year. Suppose, because there is no amount of hour is given here. So that's why, suppose in the one entire year, how much energy we consumed or how much energy produced, we know the equation very well, the maximum demand into load factor in the hours in a year. If you remember the third chapter, the equation was the units generated or units consumed, because there in the AC power, there is no loss. The amount they produce, the amount they use. So there is no loss. So that's why you see that the units generated per year equals to the maximum demand into load factor into hours in a year. And here the maximum demand is given here 200 kilowatts. The load factor is also given 40%. And the hours in a year, we all know that it is 8,760. So if you multiply everything, we get this amount of kilowatt hour basically used for, okay, basically used for a year, this amount of kilowatt hour used for year. So for that, now we will, use the cost, the how much cost is total cost, annual cost. So the total maximum demand charge that is given here, the 200 kilowatts. So 200 kilowatt into 100, because per 100 taka per kilowatt. So we have 200 kilowatts, so we just multiply with that, and 10 cents suppose, so that is 0.1, and the amount of kilowatt hour, so per kilowatt hour there is 0.1 cent. So we have 7,08,800 kilowatt hour, we just multiply. So we got the total cost. First cost is the maximum demand cost, the second cost is the energy we consume, that cost. So we calculate the total cost, and we are told that you need to find out the per kilowatt hour cost. Okay, so we got the total cost, we got the total number of kilowatt hours, so we just divide the multiply, divide. So 90,000 divided by 7,08,800, we get that 0.12, that means 12.85 cent. That is basically the overall cost, including the maximum demand cost and the consumption cost in a year. The overall cost per kilowatt hour is becomes 12.85 taka, not taka, it is cent or paisa. Okay, So this is the way, the two-part tariff system. The first part will give you the idea of the maximum demand. The second part is the energy consumption data. Okay, so always remember that in the two-part tariff system, the first one is for maximum demand, and the second one is the kilowatt hour or the amount of electricity you use for that tariff. So this type of example are very easy, because if you just go through, it will be very easy. So the next one, you see that the maximum demand of a consumer is 20 ampere and at 220 volt. 20 ampere and 220 volt. Here, if you see it properly, that there is no power is given. There is no power is given, but the current and voltage is given. So definitely we can easily convert this current and voltage into the power unit, the kilowatt hour unit. And his total energy consumption is 8,760 kilowatt. That is his energy consumption. That means the amount of unit they use. If the energy is charged at a rate of 20 cents per unit for 500 hours, use of the maximum demand per annum, and plus 10 cents per unit for additional unit. For additional unit, uh, 10 cents. Okay, so calculate the annual bill and also the equivalent flat rate. At first, you need to calculate the overall bill in a year, and also the equivalent flat rate. Equivalent flat rate means you find out the total bill, you find out the total number of your hours, your unit you use, you just divide, you get 1 hour, 1 kilowatt hour electricity bill. That is the equivalent flat rate. So as you know, in this equation, in this example, the maximum demand is not directly given. So we can easily, get from P equals to VI. We'll not use the power factor because there is no power factor is given here. So that's why we'll consider the power factor unity. So the power value, the voltage value is 220 into the current is 20. If you multiply, the unit will be watt. Okay, the power unit is watt. So to get in the kilowatt, definitely we need to divide by 1000. So finally we get that the maximum demand is 4.4 kilowatts. Okay, so 4.4 kilowatts. So it is said that if the energy is charged at 20 cent per unit for 500 hours use of maximum demand. So 500 hours, the consumers are using 4.4 kilowatts. Okay, 4.4 kilowatt, he's using 500 hours. We know that energy is equals to PT, E equals to PT. That means power into time. Okay, E equals to PT, the power into time. So we have the power value 4.4 kilowatts, and the time that is given here 500 hours. So if we multiply 4.4 into 500 hours, we get 2,200 kilowatt hour. 2,200 kilowatt hour consumption electricity, and that amount of electricity is charged 20 cents. So the cost will be, you just multiply with the 0.2, you get that 440 taka, or you can consider as a dollar, for $40. So this is the first part. You said that the remaining section is 10 paisa or 10 cents. What is the remaining section? The total consumption is 8,760, and for the maximum demand we get 2,200. So the remaining will be, if you subtract from 8,760 to 2,200, so remaining units, if you just subtract, this will be the remaining units. So the remaining units cost is 0.1. So you just multiply with 0.1 the remaining units, you get 656. So this is for the cost, and this is also the cost. So the total cost will be the summation. So the total annual bill is the summation of the two parts. So 1,096. So 1096, this is the total cost. The total consumption is also given here in the question, that is 8760. If you divide the total annual bill by the total consumption of the year, you get the equivalent flat rate. So the equivalent flat rate we divide, we finally get the 12.5 cents. So this is the equivalent flat rate. My students, I know that everyone is muted, but if you have any question, definitely you unmute yourself and you can ask me the questions in between, no problem. Okay. Okay. Uh, so these are the very basic type of mathematics. Give me 1 minute. I have a call from Abdul Basir sir. Sorry, my student. There was an urgent call from department chairman in terms of a program, upcoming program. Okay. In the meantime, already 19 students have joined. I just unmute all that everyone is here. My students, can you hear me? Abbas, anyone?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, I'm extremely sorry because I got a call, emergency call from your department chairman. So that's why I need to stop that. Okay. Okay, let me continue one more time. So we have already finished this. Okay, so the equivalent flat rate that was I'm trying to describe, that is for the the total bill divided by the total number of consumption in the year. Okay. The next example that is given here, as you see that a supply is offered on the basis of a fixed charge of 30 per annum plus 3 cent or paisa, whatever you say, per unit, or alternately the at the rate of 6 cent per unit for the first 400 unit per annum, and also 5 paisa for other units, the additional units. So they say that find the number of units taken per unit per annum, that means per annual year, for which the cost under the two tariff system becomes same. So that means that suppose you are a customer and you have been given a request the two types of tariff system. One is in one side it is said that you need to pay 30 taka fixed price, there is no change, you need to pay, must, and also the amount of consumption you consume, that is suppose you consume 100, so per unit it will be 3, so 100 3 cents, that means 3 cent, it's not 3 taka, 3 cent, and for that is per unit. So this is one type of cost. Another type of tariff system is the amount you use from your, suppose I use 600 units, so for first 400 units you need to pay per unit 6 cents, and when you cross the 400, the rest of the 400 units will be 5 taka, 5 cents. Okay, so they said that at which amount of consumption, you said that at which consumption the both the tariff system bill will be same, at which consumption both the tariff bill system will be same. So suppose we choose, let's choose that the value will be x, that at x unit both the tariff system bill will be same, and we need to, suppose we think that this bill this amount will be bigger than 400, suppose bigger than 400. So for the first bill it is said that for the first bill it is that that 30 fixed charge, and the total, as it is said that your amount of consumption into 3 cent per unit. Okay, so you have x number of units and 3 cent, that means a 0.03. So this is the first tariff bill. Okay, and then the second tariff bill is said that the first 400 will be at 6 and the rest of the unit will be 5. So I just multiply with the 0.06 into 400, and as I took the total amount of consumption is x, so x minus 400, that is the remaining units, x minus 400 will be the remaining units, that is considered as 0.5. So these are the if I make the calculations here, I get finally 4.4 plus 0.05 x. So this is for the first tariff, this is for the second tariff. So to find out the value of x, that means at which value both the tariff will be equal or same, both the tariff will be equal or same, at that time we just we think that as the both the charge are equal at x, so this two expression will be equal. So from here easily we can calculate for the x, and finally we can get that the 1300, if my consumption is 1300 unit electricity, at that time in the both tariff system, our bill will be equal. Okay, so that is the just for the building up the process. that these are the small mathematics that gives you the idea that how the tariff system works. It might be the Kumar, the first one, you can see that this is the two-part tariff system. The second tariff system is not two-part; it's the block tariff. The first 400, there is one bill. The rest of the 400 is the another bill. So this is block rate tariff system. So just explaining you the different types of tariff system and the mathematical expression of the tariff system. Let's go one more example. Probably this is a little bit larger extent we need to understand. So my student, first of all, you see that you read the question properly. These are the mathematics. My students, again, I am saying that if this type of class are taken and practically when you are solving the math by your hand, it was much more fruitful. But as in the pandemic situation, we have to consider this, because otherwise I cannot write. That will be very not boring, totally boring, but you can understand the idea and you can solve by yourself. So that's why I always tell that please practice and practice by your hand. That will emphasis, that will increase your overall understanding more. Okay, so you see that an electric supply company having a maximum load of 500 megawatt. That electric supply company having the maximum load of 550 megawatt, that generates that 18 into 10 to the power 7 unit electricity per annum. That means per year. Per annum, that means per year. Okay, so at that time, and also the supply consumers have an aggregate demand of 75 megawatt. That is the consumer demand. This is the maximum demand of that company, and this is the aggregate demand of the consumers. Just remember the diversity factor. This is for the maximum demand for the power station. This is the sum of all maximum demands. Sum of all maximum demands of the consumers. So the annual express, there are some costs given here. For fuel, that is 90 lakh. For fixed charge concerning generation, in the generation fixed charge are 28 lakh. The fixed charge concerning transmission and distribution, that is 32 lakhs. And also tell that assuming 90% of the fuel cost is essential to running charges, that means that total, the 90 lakhs, this cost, among this 90 lakhs, the 90% of this cost is the running charge. So you can easily understand the rest of the 10% cost is for the fixed charge. And the loss in the transmission and distribution is 15% kilowatt generated. That means in the generation, if you produce 100 kilowatt hour electricity, in the when you transmit that and you go to the distribution side, you will get the 85%. Okay, the 50% has been the loss, the transmission loss. So say that the deduce a two-part tariff system to find the actual cost of the supply to the consumers. So you have to, these are the costs given here. So you have to now design a two-part tariff system. Two-part tariff system. Excluding the profit. Okay, after you find out the value, then you add a small amount of profit to make the final. So right now we will just whatever we will find out the two-part tariff system. This is excluding the tariff profit, not the including profit. Not the final tariff for the consumers. This is the final for the the who produces. So after that they will add a small range of profit. Then they will provide to the consumers. So first of all, as I told you already in the beginning, that in the two-part tariff system, my student, the first one is the maximum demand charge, and the second one is the the per unit cost charge, the per unit cost charge. So usually the maximum demand charge is basically selected from the fixed charge, that the fixed charge they have already invested, and the per unit cost is basically selected from the running cost, the maintenance cost, the running cost. So we need to first of all calculate both for separately. The fixed charge is separately and the running charge is also separately. So you see that what are the fixed charge we need to first of all identify. My student, the fixed charge is if you can see properly, that definitely the generation, it is said that the fixed charge concerning generation. So definitely this will be one of the fixed charge for generation, 28 lakhs. So we just 1 lakh is 1 lakh is equals to 1 to 50. So this is 10,000, this is 1 lakh. So 100,000, something like that. In English, is 100,000. So 28 lakh, that means 28 into 10 to the power 5. So we can definitely make it 10 to the power 5 here, okay, easily. So for the fixed charge for generation, that is 28 into 10 to the power 5. And also said that the fixed charge concerning transmission and distribution, that is 32 lakhs. Okay, the 32 lakhs. So 32 into 10 to the power 5. 32 into 10 to the power 5. Okay, so 32 into 10 to the power 5 we easily get. This is also the fixed charge. And also one more thing, that you said that 90% of the fuel cost is the running cost. So that means 10% of the fuel cost is fixed cost. 10% of the fuel cost is the fixed cost. So that's why it is said that for fuel 10%, so that means the 0.1 into 90 lakhs, that means 9 lakh. 9 lakh, 9 into 10 to the power 5. So this is also a fixed cost. So if we get all the fixed costs together, you will get that something like the 69.10 to the power 5. Okay, so this is the total fixed cost. Total fixed cost, my student. So after that, what we'll do, it is also mentioned that our total maximum demand is 75 megawatt. My student, there are two maximum demand here. One is 50 megawatt, another one is 75 megawatt. Which one we will choose? The maximum demand that is given here, 50 megawatt, that is for the company, and the 75 is for the consumers. Okay, that is for the company and the 75 is the consumers. Let me clear the drawing. So these costs should be divided by the maximum demand by the consumers. Okay, so this cost has to be spread over the aggregate demand of all consumers. So cost per unit of cost per kilowatt, that means maximum demand. We all know that the maximum demand is represented in kilowatts. So my student, cost per kilowatt hour of the maximum demand at that time will be in your total cost of the fixed cost divided by the total demand. So you get that the 92 taka or 92, whatever you understand the unit of your money. So the 92 is the total amount per kilowatt. Am I clear? Per kilowatt, the total amount per kilowatt. Okay, so at that time, this is the per kilowatt. So we already got the first part of our two-part tariff system. So the next one will be, my student, so the next one will be our our running charge. We got the fixed charge, next one will be our running charge. And the running charge is told that sir, the running charge is the 90% of the fuel cost is the running charge. Okay, so 90% of the fuel cost is the running charge. So that's why we multiply the 0.9 into 90 lakh that is mentioned in our equation. So we got the 81 lakh. So we already got the running cost. So what we need to do, we need to now got the total running cost. We need to now divide this cost by the total number of units generated. The total number of units generated, we need to divide. Okay, so if we need to divide that, our total number of units, what is given here, questions. What is given here, or it is given here, the total number of units is 18 into 10 to the power 7 unit. Okay, this is generation unit, but my student, these units are not transferring to the distribution, because it is mentioned here that 50% of your energy has been lost. 15% of your kilowatt hour that you generate, it is getting lost after we reach in the distribution side. So that's why you say that the total units what we consider, we not consider 18 into 10 to the power 7. We have to consider the 85% of that total unit. So that's why the 0.85 we multiply with the 18 into 10 to the power 7. So we get finally that 15 into 3, 15.3 into 10 to the power 7 kilowatt hour. Okay, so this is the total kilowatt hour that is basically the consumers get, not 18 into 10 to the power 7, because we have a 15% loss that is available. We have a 15% loss that is available in our structure or in our transmission. So what we'll do, we got the total cost, the 81 into 10 to the power 5. We divide by the 15.3 into 10 to the power 7. We finally get that 5.3 cent paisa, or whatever you call. That is the cost per kilowatt hour. So finally we get that the tariff is 92 taka per kilowatt of the maximum demand plus 5.3 cent per kilowatt hour. You see that the maximum demand is in kilowatt and the kilowatt hour is your consumption. This kilowatt, the maximum demand is basically selected when you apply for the electricity. So suppose you give 100 kilowatt the capacity, the maximum demand I will use 100 kilowatts, so you have to pay for that, and in this section. And this kilowatt hour is basically what you consume during the month or during that time period. So this is the base tariff system. This will be not given to the consumers, because this is all based on the cost, my student. So if the consumers pay this value, there will be no profit in this business. So definitely the producer or whatever the authority will definitely add some profit, some margin of profit. Suppose this 92 will be suppose 100, and this 5.3 will be 6 paisa. So the rest of the amount of money is the profit. So that's how the tariff system is detected. That you first of all you calculate your total cost, and then you divide the amount of electricity you basically deliver. So then you get a marginal cost, that is the tariff system. But after that you add the profit, some margin of profit. After that your total tariff will be declared to the consumers. Okay, so that is the process I showed you. There are two more examples that is given, which I will discuss in the next coming classes. So so that's it for today. I will not describe too much mathematics example, because that will give you bored, or so you try by yourself these two mathematics given here. So if you face any problem, I will definitely discuss these two in the next class. But today I will tell my all students, is there any questions regarding today's class or today's idea? My student, is there any questions regarding today's class?
Sir.
Please. My student.
Yes, sir. স্যার আমার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল, বাট এই ক্লাসে না, আগের ক্লাসে আমি কি করতে পারি?
হ্যাঁ, শিওর।
স্যার হচ্ছে গিয়ে আমরা যখন হাইড্রোইলেকট্রিক পাওয়ার প্ল্যান্ট করেছি, তখন আমরা মানে করেছি পটেনশিয়াল এনার্জি কাইনেটিক এনার্জিতে কনভার্ট হয়। স্যার পটেনশিয়াল এনার্জি যেটা কাইনেটিক এনার্জিতে কনভার্ট হয় কোন জায়গায়? হচ্ছে টারবাইনের যখন শেপ দিয়ে হতে থাকে তখন, মানে তখন তো মেকানিক্যাল এনার্জিতে কনভার্ট হয়। অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি বুঝতে
Okay, I got it. And you say that, sir, let me have the slide. I'm afraid that I will find the slide now. Okay, let me try at least. But ignore my desktop. You said there, sir, where the potential energy has been converted into the kinetic energy. A very interesting question. And in the turbine, no, it's not that. It's not in the turbine. In the turbine, it is converted from mechanical energy to rotational energy. Okay. Or but uh, let me go to the diagram so I can understand you much more clearly. So Nazifa's question was, sir, where the potential energy has been converted to the kinetic energy, isn't it? Okay. So you see that, my student, this is a dam. This is a dam where the water has been, reserved. So before going through this hydroelectric power plant, just let's think the water tank on your home, on your rooftop. We all use the water tank. So in the water tank, the water has been, what I'm saying, in the water tank, the water has been reserved. At the bottom of the water tank, there is a pipe. There is a water pipe connected from there on, and then it transferred to the rest of the remaining floors, from the second floor, third floor. So from that, when it is, preserved in this reservoir, this is potential energy, my student, because this water has been, up from the surface. But when it goes through the penstoke, at penstoke, this angle at penstoke, it gets the velocity, because when this water has been, just got the switch gate is open, at that time the water starts to flow due to its the pressure. So when it goes to the pressure and goes to the penstoke, it goes one more angle. So at that time the water, at that time the water potential energy is becomes the kinetic energy, something like that. You go to the 8th floor or 5th floor of a building, and you are holding a glass of water. At that time the energy of that glass of water is potential energy. When you start to pour, when you start to throw the water, that water starts to come from that 5th floor to the ground. At that time it gains the energy, it gains the, and it the potential energy of that water transferred to the kinetic energy. I think you got it.
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay, it is basically the penstoke, not in the turbine. The turbine, it heats. At that time the mechanical energy is basically converted to the rotational energy, and that rotational energy in the generator converts the what, electrical energy. I think you got it. Is there any question from other students? My student, is there any question from the other students? My student, is there any question? My student, everyone is unmuted.
No, sir. No, sir. There is no question.
Okay, if is there no questions, you can leave, no problem. But if you have any questions, you can stay. Okay. Today our class a little bit short because of you come, and also I got a call from the department chairman. I got an assigned a task, so that's why I need to do that. So I'm leaving you 5 to 10 minutes earlier. So consider this as an emergency. Okay. So I will not discuss the rest of the 2 examples today. I will discuss in the next class.
রোল নাম্বার দিন, রোল নাম্বার দিয়ে পড়ে যাই।
Please, everyone, give your role in the chat box. Everyone, give your role in the chat box. And my students, one more thing I need to mention, that that day by day our mathematical problems are increasing. Day by day our mathematical problems are increasing. So you say that there are so many mathematical problems. So if you don't solve by yourself, it will tough for you for understanding the next. So please try to study properly, try to study regularly, not also properly and also regularly. So roll 20, roll 33, roll 50, roll 32, roll 21, roll 45, roll 42, roll 18, roll 51, roll 39, roll 12, roll 1. Is there anyone left, my student? Is there anyone left? My student, is there anyone left? Please give a roll in the chat box. Everyone. And if you have given your role in the chat box, if you have no question, you can leave, no problem. Aziz is here.
Yes,
Aziz,
sir. Yes, sir.
have you give your role?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any question from Aziz?
No, sir.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone give your role in the chat box, all. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. And if you don't have any questions, you can leave, no problem. I'm giving you this slide to your group as soon as possible. We're finishing the class. So if you finish, then you can go, no problem. I think that everyone has given the role. So let me stop the share at first, and